top of the world, about to jump above it. Take it straight to the moon, 'cause we know how to rock it. Ain't no thing you can do, ain't no way to stop it. Now you're feeling it too. Let's get it started. Throw your hands in the air while the beat is dropping. Acting like you don't care when everybody's watching. Just keep whipping your hair like that, you got it. Yeah, you're feeling it too. Let's get it started. I'm ready, ready. Let's get it, get it. I'm ready, ready. Are you ready, ready? Let's get it started. Charts off the meter, turn it up, blow the speakers, make them all to believers, break through the surface, tell them open the curtains, give them all what they wanted, yeah, now let's get started. I'm ready, let's get it, get it. Yeah, I'm ready, are you ready, I'm ready, let's get it started. Yeah, I'm ready, let's get it, get it. I'm ready, let's go. Are you ready, let's get it started. Let's get it started. Let's get it, get it. Let's get it started. Let's get it started. Yeah. Give me something new. Time to break loose. Take it to another level. Now we on the move. Shout if you coming with me. Going over the limit. On your mark, keep it steady. So tell me, are you ready? I'm ready. Let's get it, get it. I'm ready. Are you ready? Let's get it started.
Hey, let's get it started, and we welcome you to the penultimate race of the season. This for 4 drivers. They're going to battle for championship. For everyone else, they better put up and lay it on the line right now. We welcome the coverage West iRacing Cup Series presented by Tom Denchel Automotive Group. Tonight is the Tom Denchel 200. I am Wesley Outland, joined alongside is Samuel Dyer. Samuel, Homestead Miami Speedway, what do you think we're going to see here tonight, my friend? This is the final race before we go to a championship at Vegas.
I got my pen, I got my paper. I'm ready for tonight. It is all about calculating who's making it in to the Final Four. We already know Blake Peterson's good to make it in, but it's everyone else. 3 spots are open, and we've got 3 drivers coming in tonight that are in must-win territory. So the pressure's on, certainly here tonight, Wesley, and it's going to be exciting to see how the drivers can handle here at Homestead in Miami.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting to see here for 200 miles, 134 laps for the Cup cars here for the ARCA race on Friday. Did not disappoint. I think we're going to see the same thing with the Cup cars here tonight. But the thing is, we've got Blake Peterson, we've got Devin West. Those guys have won races. Are we going to see a points guy finally win to make it in, or are those final 3 spots, Samuel, do you feel going to be locked in by virtue of seeing where somebody ends up in the points at night's end?
I mean, I think we're going to be seeing at least 2 of our final, 4 spots going to be locked in by points. There's the shot of us. We already know Blake Peterson's locked in, but it's the question of who's going to be the next driver that could potentially come in and take that spot. I'm looking at, some of those drivers are in must-win territory. You think of BJ Tidrick, Kevin Smith, also Stephen O'Hare. Those are the 3 drivers in must-win territory. They've got to put a lot of effort in, and I think based off of whenever we see from qualifying, that is going to be one of the key things to watch out for, because Blake Peterson, you think of back in the round of 12, Wesley, Blake Peterson only showed up for that 1 race. He's been showing up regularly and could potentially take another win here tonight in that shot for a driver to win to get in.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting, and it's going to be fun to watch. And The question is, our picks are in. We know obviously this is it. You gotta show out. You gotta basically lay it on the line here. And Samuel, I think we're gonna see that tonight. We're gonna see guys pull Hail Marys. We're gonna see these kind of rabbit out of a hat. You think of Kevin Smith? He had to do it in ARCA. He came up short. He's got to do it in trucks and Cup this week as well if he wants to run for a championship 4. Well, not the truck, but definitely the Cup Series. So, hey, your picks are in. Samuel, who you riding with tonight at Homestead, Miami?
Well, we're wearing the same red on our shirts, so we'll see if we're matching this go around. But my pick, I'm going with
Yes.
Caden Anderson to see how well this 37 team can race. Because, Wesley, you think back to last week, the frustration at New Hampshire. Caden Anderson, very vocal during his interview in the top 3, that he felt like he needs to be more aggressive, and the potential shot of actually moving someone has been in the mind of this 37 team. Wouldn't be surprised if he needs to, or feels like he might need to move someone around to get into our Final 4.
Okay, so I've been swamped today, busy with work, so I can't say my pick in. So what is my pick? My pick is in the fate. No, that's not.
Carl Burke. Let's go.
You got to at least give me somebody that's got a shot. First, it's Aaron Cooper last week, and this week it's Carl Burke. I'm not audible here, and I'm going with, you know what? I will pick somebody that I think could possibly break through and get a win here, and I'm going to say it's going to be Tyler King. So Tyler King is my pick here tonight. So, hey, that's not like a big name brand guy, Sam. I mean, King has only got 1 win on the season, but I think tonight could be a good night for him. He's done pretty well in the past here at Homestead Miami Speedway. So, and remember, as always, our producer are dying with Jeff Stab now. Or has that changed? Are you still with Jeff Stab now? Can you hear me swindling? Am I still Wesley? Yes, I am. We're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, on track activity, LSRTV, race 411, weather conditions. With us, playoff racing. Final time at Homestead to decide the championship 4 at Vegas.
An automobile purchase shouldn't be hard. The hardest part for the consumer in the whole process should be selecting the vehicle. We have the online credit application. We can bring the car to you to see it, to test drive it, to deliver it. We have all the tools in place, and we've had them in place for a long time. I just think now we've perfected it. It's become part of our culture. We've, kind of taken it to the next level. It is easy, and it should be easy, and it should be fun, and it shouldn't take a whole lot of time.
Welcome back to Homestead Miami Speedway. The excitement is getting ready here for this event. Welcome back again. I'm Wesley Outland. Samuel Dyer is alongside. Sam, man, this is going to be fun time. The lights will be on here. This is going to be an exciting 200 miles. And one of the words we've talked about the last couple of weeks, and it's going to happen, precision banking. We're going to see that here where straightaways, single file becomes 2, 3, 4 wide down the straightaways into the corners. You better lift because if not, you could possibly get in the wall.
Yeah, with the progressive banking, it allows these drivers, especially in the early about 4 to 8 lap run of the race, you're going to be seeing drivers anywhere from all the way down to the white line, up to the wall, trying to pick and choose. But as the race progresses on, we're going to be seeing more drivers moving higher and higher. But I'm going to be, interested to see the drivers that are going to be bottom feeders, those that stay down at the white line all race long, because once you get extremely long into a run, you start to see a little bit of a gradient of drivers changing from the high line to the low line. It's going to be an interesting twist on who can find whatever lane is the fastest during that run.
Yeah, no doubt about it, my friend. Let's take a look at the race 411 here tonight as we are still rocking and rolling going into our program. We are currently right now into a 30-minute practice session that is just wrapping up. 2-lap qualifying will forthcome, and then we will, of course, lock in the field for 200 miles, 134 laps, of course, around the Homestead Miami Speedway. By the way, it's presented by LSRTV. And to the bottom right, weather conditions presented by LSRTV as well. And you see it's 80 degrees. Track temp is 82, virtual here at Homestead. Wind speed, a little breeze for Florida, southern Miami, if you will, southern Florida. Mostly cloudy conditions down below the Everglades. And I'll tell you what, this should be a good race here tonight, I believe, Samuel. And the weather conditions are very pristine as well.
Yeah, the 80 degrees, that is prime track temperature that these drivers love to be seeing, but that's when the sun is still up. Wesley, we're going to be seeing, progressive banking where the drivers are going to be picking and choosing where they're going. Well, we're also going to be seeing the element of the weather and the sun setting. It's going to be a factor of, vision-wise as we're waiting to see when the sun will set behind that of the grandstands as well. Drivers are going to have to deal with once the sun is all the way down, cooler temperatures. So the driver's going to have to be thinking and working all night long to make sure they can, handle the weather change and the track change throughout the night.
Yeah, it should be a good one, and we're glad that you are along for this ride. It's going to be a fun how the outcome will turn out. And again, all these drivers know that for just a mount of four guys are going to Vegas, and they're going to shot the race for the championship. And before we go any further, hey, Samuel, what was your take of the playoffs for NASCAR at Phoenix over the weekend, bud? Did you get the chance to check out any of them?
I missed watching them live, but I got to watch the ends of all the races, watch the highlight reel, and I got to say, what a weekend it's been. I mean, real life NASCAR, Phoenix putting on another fantastic show. If anything, I loved the ending of seeing the end of the Xfinity race. Incredible to see those drivers racing out. But man, if anything, I think for the Cup Series, if Kyle Larson didn't win that championship going into the race, everyone would have been freaking out, wondering how did that happen. But Kyle Larson, with the late caution, gotta say, you kind of lucked into that victory there.
I would say you're exactly right. If he would not have won the event, I think a lot of people would have a lot of question marks going, what, huh? Come on. But I will say I thought Martin Truex Jr. put up one awesome fight. And speaking of our drivers of the Northwest, so this is their final race, the penultimate race to lock in for the championship for next week at Vegas. The finale is, of course, this Friday for ARCA at Las Vegas as well. We hope you join us for the coverage. And let's look at the point standings going into this event. We got about a minute left to go before the end of qualifying, and there you see it. Lake Peterson and Dan West Jr., those guys have won, obviously. Chris White is in, tied on points. Lake Peterson and Dan is the man, okay? He's got 2 wins in this last round of 8 race. Dan West Jr. and Chris White are tied for second and third. Caden Anderson is right there with them. So right now, Caden Anderson, who's also your pick, Samuel, is fourth. For guys like Sean Brightsman, B.J. Tidrick, Stephen O'Hare, and Kevin Smith with a must-win, they have no tomorrow. They've got to make something happen for them to race for a championship in the Cup Series next Monday at Vegas.
Yeah, that's all in a lot of these drivers' minds is how do I get myself to race for a championship at Las Vegas? And, with how close the points are for that bubble position of Caden Anderson and Sean Brightsman, I mean, just that of 3 points separating both of those drivers for 4th place. And then it goes into a must win. So for everyone that's inside the top 4, their eyes, how do we make sure we're ahead of Sean Brightsman? And then also for Caden Anderson, how do we hold off the 3 other drivers that are in a must-win scenario?
So the field is gritting. Qualifying has Team 126 Racing starting lineup. And I'll tell you what, though, before we do give you the lineup, we got quite a field of cars. And by the way, our producer said my pick is Carl Burke. No, my pick, if it would have been a good pick, I would have said, okay, I'm going with Carl Burke. But I'm going to go with Tyler King and qualifying about mid-pack in the race. So we'll see, how things go. Your guy's right there at the top 10 of qualifying. So we'll see what goes on here as the field is gritting on the front straightaway. They'll enter onto the racetrack off of the pit lane, and we'll get ready to give you in just a few moments the starting lineup as everybody is getting into position here. 200 miles, 134 laps is the distance around the Homestead Miami Speedway. 26 Racing starting lineup, and it goes down like this. Jeff Stabnow from Billings, Montana. He has from the championship. He just wants a win. Could tonight be the night for the driver of the 24, a former champion from Montana. On the outside, Shelton Washington, Dan West Jr., number 2 seed, tied with Chris White, row 1. Row 2, you'll find Lake Peterson, the man that's obviously the number 1 guy in the 09, and the guy that's in the number 8 spot who needs a win to advance to the championship 4, Kevin Smith, Hermiston, Washington. Row number 3, Dennis Moore in the 44 to the outside, defending Cup Series champion of last year, Sean Breitzman. He needs a good run to race for the championship 4 tonight. Caden Anderson, Samuel's pick in the 37 to the outside, Stephen O'Hare in the 41 machine. And I'm moving on to row number 5, Christopher White. We mentioned him. James Viney, good ARCA race the other night for him here. Solid finish. He'll start 10th.
Then we go to row number 6, where we find that Buckeyes Aaron Cooper, as well as Dan Lather in the 63. Dan Lather's been showing a lot of speed. Tyler King, your pick, Wesley, going to be back starting out row number 7 with Will Duvall. Will Duvall, Caden Anderson, they had a little bit of a bickering last week. We'll see if that translates here tonight. Row number 8, find Casey Garber in the 94, as well as Stephen Paulison in the 58. Row number 9, going to be finding that of Ryan Bloom in the 25. And our producer's pick for Wesley, it's Carl Burke. Going to be back at the end of row number 9 with that of BJ Tidrick in a must-win scenario. Going to be starting out row 10 with Troy Daggett in the 51 to his outside. Then it's Scott Hutchison in the 91. Frank Harris, going to be the last of the drivers here starting out in the last row. I believe it is going to be that of Russ Lundberg with Casey Garber and Carl Burke on pit road.
Field comes to the line. Green flag in the air. We're underway at Homestead, Miami. We're taking forward to the champion, Diva Las Vegas. Here we come. We're underway. And quickly, Jeff Stabnow taking the early lead to the outside. But Dan West Jr. powers back to the outside lane. 4 cars in that blanket. You have a race, Samuel, in turn 3.
Yeah, and right there, you're already seeing the progressive banking. A lot more drivers moving up to almost up to the wall, getting through these corners, but 2, 3 wide all the way through the field. But Jeff Stabnow, we got the pole position, now under fire from Kevin Smith in the 00. And Smith, all season long, he has shown a lot of speed to be up front. But the 00 needs to find consistency as Stabnow gets loose and starts to rake himself up the field. Got to be careful with the 24, and Dennis Moore, he's now trying to get around the 24 machine.
There has to be some type of a courtesy for these drivers, obviously in the black, that are in the back, not racing for a championship, and you got to let these other guys have at it and have that race amongst themselves. But when you're thinking that as well, Samuel, you think of guys like Kevin Smith or Jeff Stabnow. They want to win. Jeff Stabnow's not won in a very long time. So he wants to prove that he can get something done.
Lake Peterson,
so we got
trouble
problems.
for the 09.
No. Wash either for Lake Peterson, back on track. But you know what, though, Samuel? That's fine for the Phoenix Designs number 09 machine, because we already know he's racing for a championship next week. Whatever goes wrong, whatever happens, he could say, I'm parking this car right now. And he'd be completely fine.
For Lake Peterson, though, he's wanting to make sure he's got the momentum going into the next race. I mean, he just went from racing up in the top 10 to now all the way back in 21st position, last of the drivers that are running currently. So Lake Peterson, this is not the way that he wanted his night to start out at all. But we've seen plenty of drivers throughout this round, the round of 8, Wesley, not have the best start, but they finish well at the end of the night.
Chris White, there you see House Ford machine battling alongside Stephen O'Hare. Obviously, White and Dan West Jr. are tied going into this race by virtue of the points. You see them in blue You see the legend, by the way. Let's just go ahead and put that out there since we're in the early going. They're based on colors, okay? So green, obviously, is Lake Peters. They're in the top 20, which means he's advanced. You know he's going on. In the playoffs, in second, third, and fourth seed is the blue, which is Dan West Jr. in sixth, Caden Anderson in ninth. They are, again, second, third, and fourth. Drivers outside the top four is Sean Brightsman. Must win to advance is 3 drivers, including, most of all, number 8 seed Kevin Smith here, BJ Tidrick. There you have it. Guys in the black that are not in bold colors are just looking for a checkered flag. Samuel, like Jeff Stabnow in the 24th.
Yeah, Jeff Stabnow currently the highest runner of our drivers that are no longer in the playoffs. So right now, Jeff Stabnow doing a great job, currently in 4th position, trying to follow and stay in the wake of Sean Brightsman, who's ahead of him. Sean Brightsman up 3 positions from where he started, and seeing this aggression from the 46 team. I mean, Wesley, I was looking at the stats coming into tonight's race. It is incredible to look at, but for this 46 team of Sean Brightsman, he has started 22 races this season and has finished in the top 10 all 22 times.
Well, there you go. So we're looking at Sean Brightsman as well, just being in those couple of times, Samuel, that he's got a race to make it in to the championship 4. He's been consistent, but the times that he had to rally to get back into the top 10, top 20, and in doing so, that's hurt his the average wheelers trying to get these wins to advance, but never count out Sean Brightsman. And I believe, Samuel, this Brightsman 46 could be somebody to watch here, especially at Homestead.
I mean, also, Wesley, you think of last season. I mean, this 46, not in the exact same scenario, but outside looking in coming into the night.
Lap 10 of 134. We're just underway. You'll see the sun beginning to set here, and it will finish under the lights, obviously. 1.5 miles here at Homestead, Miami. Precision banking, the Nellis straightaway. That track will be a completely different animal next week. Samuel, I just can't believe, buddy, we're in round 32 of the season. The season's just flew by.
Yeah, it really has. It has been incredible to see. I mean, I was thinking, I was like, man, I joined and started covering these guys halfway through because it felt like so quick. I went back and rewatched, some of the older broadcasts. I've been in the booth helping periodically cover since basically the beginning of the season, and it's been incredible to see how the drivers have been progressing. Became full-time in the booth with you, Wesley, about halfway through the season, but man, it's crazy to see how the drivers, I keep on every single week harping on the fact of Beaver State, how well they've ran, but a lot of these other drivers, like James Vining and also Aaron Cooper, 2 drivers that currently are in the top 5, both running very well for themselves currently. And we look at the middle of the field and where drivers lie currently. I mean, what a run for themselves. And for James Vining currently, Wesley, these are split right in between 2 playoff drivers.
Working lap number 12 of 134 laps. You're exactly right. You've got guys that have been doing so much better. Look at James Vining. Look at what the Catman did on Friday in the ARCA race, Samuel. I mean, he comes so close to winning it. He had a really good drive for him. Decent finish. There goes Chris White down to the inside, trying to go after O'Hare. This is 4th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. Vining right behind him. And Samuel, a solid top 10 for Aaron Cooper as well.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's been awesome to see Aaron Cooper right now in 10th place and trying to continue with this consistency. And your audible pick, Tyler King, going to be behind him as we continue to watch and see this battle for 6th place. But Wesley, what's so important about this battle right now, you see the 4 cars that are here. You got Stefan O'Hare, 41 in a must-win scenario. Then you've got Chris White behind him in 7th. White's goal, just make sure he's in front of Caden Anderson. Anderson is that bubble driver in the most danger coming into the night. As currently where the drivers lie, with Breisman being up in that of 3rd place and Anderson back in 9th, Sean Breisman would push out the 37 from our top 4.
And remember this, West and White are tied going into this race tonight by points in 2nd. And you were mentioning something earlier about the sunlight. Talk about that visibility right now before the sun sets as well, Samuel, for Virtual Homestead.
Well, you kind of got a little picture of that all coming right out of turn 4. The sun is blinding these drivers. It's not until you get past the start-finish line when the sun sets behind the grandstands and on the backstretch, it's not as bad. You get to see, the palm trees to your right, and it's a lot clearer to see where the driver's going to be at. It's going to be a lot easier when the lights come on and the sun is down. But entering turn 3, this is one of the last times you're really going to be seeing clearly, and right out of turn 4, Wesley, there's the sun. You cannot really see anything, barely see the outline of the driver ahead of you. It's not until now the sun has disappeared and you're finally able to see clearly again.
Yeah, it's right then when you go back into the middle of 1 into 2, where you can actually finally say, man, I can see, and I can see good again. And then you have your visibility back until you hit between turn number 4 down the straightaway. And it's going to change throughout this race. And obviously, you got to make sure your visibility don't cause you to make mistakes, Samuel, and hit the wall.
Yeah, and, looking at when the sunset's going to hit for these drivers, it's going to be, around a little bit before halfway, around lap 50 to 65. It's going to be the window for a lot of these drivers when they're going to be able to see the lights. The sun's going to be set, lights are on. And also, Wesley, what's funny about that is when the sun sets, that's when the drivers are primarily going to be thinking, if we stay green to that point, making one of their 2 pit stops. A lot of these drivers, they said if there were a lot of early cautions, drivers might be able to stretch out their fuel to halfway. But because it looks like we're in a green flag run, as you see the battling currently for that of 2nd position, Sean Breisman trying to defend from that of Dennis Moore and Kevin Smith. Around that halfway, around that 50 to 65 is when drivers going to be thinking about making their green flag pit stop, which could be their first of 2.
So we're efforting that 2 pit stops is at least the max that they have to go through, unless obviously we have this sequence of cautions and yellows and more pit stops is a possibility. But right now, 20 laps in, everybody just for the most part just kind of lying in the weeds, if you will, Samuel, just enjoying this race.
Yeah. Absolutely. We got a great picture there through 1 and 2 of progressive banking, right? We got to see Dennis Moore all the way down to the white line, Sean Breisman running kind of the middle, and then Kevin Smith riding all the way up to the outside wall, trying to get a good run onto the exit. And that's where you're kind of picking and choosing. What type of run are you looking for? The more balanced currently with being 20 laps into this race is that middle line. You're already starting to see is Dennis Moore making the pass almost easily on Sean Breisman. Inside lane still has a lot of grip in it currently for this tire wear, but in the next 10 to 15 laps, we're expecting drivers to continue to merge higher and higher throughout this race.
And a lot of racing left to go, as Samuel reiterated on. Luck of the gyro cam as you see the banking here at Homestead as they work out of turn number 4, back out down the straightaway. Just a little bit of banking on the front straightaway, and then you watch him dive into turn number 1 again as you're on board with Sean Breisman, who's currently in 3rd. Got Dennis Moore in front of him. Dennis Moore with Dan West Jr. That's that first car all the way in view. And that's the nicest way to show you how banked this racetrack is in the early going, Sammy D.
Yeah, and what's crazy to think is that that's only that section that we saw Sean Breisman race, because the higher you get, the more banking it turns into, which the higher the banking, the higher you go through the corners, a lot more of a run and more of speed you can carry throughout the corner. As we look back for the battle that's currently going for 4th place, as Kevin Smith now under a little bit of fire from Sean Breisman, and that of Stabnow, excuse me. And Wesley, looking at Jeff Stabnow, his 24 team, looking to try to get anything going at this point of the season, has seen so much poor luck throughout the year. At this point, just wanting another, if anything, a top 3, top 5, it would practically feel like a win with how much poor luck the 24's had.
Yeah, I was going to say that for sure, man. It definitely would be special if they could get out of trouble and have a good, solid run. But for a guy like Kevin Smith, right now in the top 5, you just saw a glimpse of that Tom D'Enchilada Group 00. He needs to go, and he needs to go now. And he needs to get to the front as he tries to get around Montana's Jeff Stabnow for that spot. Wow.
Oh, they got to be careful with Kevin Smith. There was a slight opening. Stabnow tried to take it, and Smith just slowly kind of what I call a lazy block of just coming down, drifting. If you hesitate like that, you easily can get spun by the driver behind you, but lifts up. Here comes the 24 on the inside, battling for that 4th place position as almost a little bit of door banging, inside drafting into turn 4. Jeff Stabnow going to be taking that 4th place position.
Off of that corner, up the racetrack, you saw that aerial coverage presented by LSRTV, and back again to turn 1 as Stabnow and Smith have this game ongoing for position. May the best one go to the end and win here, and it is going to come down to that, Samuel. The question is, I know there's patience right now. When will patience become desperation? Desperation become impatience, and then there's going to be some mistakes made.
Yeah, I mean, that impatiency, I think it's going to kick in once we get to lap 100, and the drivers are trying to plan out that final pit stop. That's where a lot of the drivers have to show a little bit of patience. Who's going to be the first one to come to pit road? Who's going to be the last one to come to pit road? Who's going to find that sweet middle ground to have the fastest run and gaining on the drivers that decided to risk it? That's where we're really going to be seeing a lot of the tension building up, but it's all about building to that moment and trying to minimize the amount of mistakes that you can make. I mean, Wesley, we've looking at the Truck Series on Wednesday night and for the Cup Series here on Monday nights. Dan West Jr., yes, he's been looking great, but there's been a lot of times throughout this round of 8 where we've seen the 55 have a lot of mental errors and throw away his chances of getting a win. Hopefully tonight he's found a way to clean that up just a little bit here. Dan West Jr., a little bit of concern. He's always been showing this round that he's good in the first half. It's that second half, that money stop, where we find the 55 making his mistakes. Take a look here at BJ Titrick in 13th. Seeing a lot of drivers out of him. Eric Cooper, as well as Dan Lather, side by side. Got to be careful not to wreck around each other. But Wesley, that BJ Titrick, one of our must-win drivers, furthest back in 13th. He cannot be running back here.
No, you're exactly right. And there is still so much Homestead as you see the legend on the upper left down the bottom. You see we're going about 30 laps into this thing now, 28 completed. And watching these drivers, look at Titrick. Titrick is one of those guys that he must win. And obviously Kevin Smith must win. Kevin Smith is in 8th. He is that final car in the must-win category. But also don't count out Stephen O'Hare or Titrick. And the thing is, Samuel, they're both talented. We see one at Talladega to make it into the playoffs. We saw, obviously, BJ Titrick not win a race since Darlington of last year. And we'll never forget that crazy race there. But from there on, it's been consistency for the Verizon number 72. As there you see him on the inside battling.
Yeah, I mean, BJ Titrick trying to do a little bit of a 2-for-1 that last lap, not able to secure the pass on that of the 71 of Aaron Cooper. But yeah, I mean, BJ Titrick came into this round one of the drivers probably in the biggest underdog out of looking at the stats coming into this, right? I mean, BJ Titrick coming into this round only had only 5 top 5s and that of 13 top 10s, which think of the top 10s. That's where that consistency that we were talking about got him into the playoffs and kind of helped him get into this round of 8. But those top 5s, only having 5 this season, it's been the biggest struggle for the 72 team that just needed to find a little bit of an extra boost if you wanted a shot to race for a championship. But Wesley, you really think about the transition from last season to this season, the competition level has really risen. The cream of the crop, there's a lot more drivers that are really fast and are up there battling for a win each and every week. And for, the drivers like BJ Tidrick and Kevin Smith, who both have not won this season, they're kind of in that weird bubble spot where they kind of have to win. I mean, they do here tonight, but you were expecting them to get a lot of wins coming into the playoffs, and it just hasn't happened yet.
Down the back straightaway, you're exactly right. And obviously now, if you want to win these races, now, since you're not in the playoffs, unless you're one of these guys that are in those must-win scenarios. And by the way, Samuel, as we approach 100 laps to go here, next time by, 34 laps completed, let's reiterate, just because you're in the red or the orange doesn't mean that you have not got a shot. Sean Brightsman can win this race tonight in the 46 car, and he's in orange, which means he's outside the top 4. He could win this race, and he punches his ticket to Vegas Championship 4. O'Hare, Smith, right now, Kevin Smith. That would be the Hail Mary of all Hail Marys of iRacing in the Northwest this year. If he could win a race here tonight, Samuel, he can race for the Championship 4. So it's not that it can't happen. It's just going to be highly
Yeah, it really is highly unlikely to see, one of these drivers in red get the win. But the scenario is, if one of the drivers in red does win, that would mean one of the drivers in blue most likely would be that of Caden Anderson. It would be knocked out. But Chris White, we're starting to see Caden Anderson's moving up. He was saving his tires in the early goings of this run. He's now moved up to 5th position. Chris White, who was close to that 5th place position, has now dropped all the way down to 8th place. And there's only a 5-point difference between where Caden Anderson is and where Chris White and Dan West Jr. are coming into the night. So for Caden Anderson, he just needs to make sure he's 5 or more positions ahead of Chris White or Dan West Jr. And if one of these red drivers, or even if Sean Brightsman wins, he would be able to stay inside of the Final 4. So there's still a lot of different scenarios out there. Still possible for, a lot of these drivers to be pushed out, bumped in. That's what, playoff racing gives you, especially the penultimate race before the finale.
Let's give you your full field rundown. 35 laps in here in the Tom Denschel Auto Group 200. By the way, 2 drivers unable to start the race. That includes Casey Garber and Carl Burke. Leader, Dennis Moore is 2nd. Sean Brightsman 3rd. Jeff Stabnow, fast qualifier, is 4th. And Caden Anderson in the top 5. James Vining 6th. Kevin Smith is 7th. Chris White 8th. Stephen O'Hare 9th. And Dan Lowther, Samuel, your top.
Then we got BJ Tidrick, who's in a must-win scenario, going to be in 11th. 12th goes to Aaron Cooper. 13th, Tyler King, as well as 14th, Ryan Bloom. Troy Daggett's going to be in 15th position. Will Duvall is going to be in 16th, with Lake Peterson, who spun on lap 2, currently in 17th position. Frank Harris is going to be in 18th. Russ Lundberg, he is still going to be in 19th position. Our first DNF of the night officially goes to Scott Hutchinson, and Stephen Paulison's been in pit road for over 15 laps and counting for the 91 team back in 21st position.
As it stands right now, there's the lineup. Right now, Dennis Moore is moved his way to the top spot. Dan West Jr. falling back to 2nd. Sean Brightsman 3 seconds back to the lead pack. Stabnow right now lying in the weeds in the top 5, 4 seconds back, along with Caden Anderson. Samuel Dyer, Wesley Outland back here with you. More cars onto the pit lane. Looks like Scott Hutchinson in 91 is preparing to come to the pit lane, and Lundberg, some other cars as well. So we're starting to see a transition as stops are happening now, Samuel.
Yeah, these are the drivers that are so far back, they've got to try something drastically different. So they're going to be coming in, trying to turn this race into a 3-stop potentially here, or doing an extreme early 2-stop type of a run, as you see that of White as well as Dan Lather trying to get by that of the 41 of Stephen O'Hare. And this has been O'Hare's biggest struggle, has been qualifying Wesley, as well as when we get to long runs, but yellow pops up. Oh no, this changes everything on where drivers lie.
Man, you know, Samuel, this reminds me yesterday at Phoenix when Junior came down to the pit lane and he needed to pit. Caution came out, thought he was going to be just in the binders for it. And look at this. I think it's Frank Harris, the 11. We'll find out.
Frank Harris might have forgotten where the on-access road to get into pit road was, decided to go on the road course variant to then get into pit road. So I think he might have forgotten which road he was supposed to be on, and because of his odd way to get into pit road, a yellow waves on lap 41. That is the most bizarre caution I think we could have seen here early.
I've never seen anything like that in my life. He never spun out. Look at this. He never spun. He's okay.
He's supposed to go further.
Right.
And you can kind of see it, the faint gray strip. That's where he's supposed to take the on-access road. But instead, he took the road course instead.
He's on the road course part of, and look at this. Then he decides to go to the safety lane. Where the safety trucks park at. And yeah, do you call that the bus stop, the chicane, if you will?
Well, that's the road course on-access road to get to pit road. So, I mean, if we were in, the GT3s racing here, safe move. But that is not the road you're supposed to take. It's everyone hitting pit road. And Wesley, I noted on the fact that this was right around, the extreme undercut of turning this race into a 2-stop race. Well, this kind of fits perfectly for everyone still to work out to make it to the end on one more stop. So the race isn't over. And for Lake Peterson, perfect timing for the 09 to get back into this race.
And green flag pit stops is going on. There you see the race off pit road. Yeah. Jeff Stabnow had a good pit. There he is. Dan West Jr. He's the first man in, second man in. First man out, Dan West Jr., Dennis Moore, Jeff Stabnow, Sean Brightsman. 43, 134 laps. All right, Frank, don't make a wrong turn again now. Not under caution. It's in the 11 car, so.
Yeah, I think that's the first for me seeing. But hey, you never know what you're going to see playoff racing wise. Wesley, that was so bizarre seeing, but I think Frank Harris might have found where the on-access road is now. And for the drivers up front, I got to say, Wesley, I'm excited to see how we're going to be seeing how the drivers react. Who's learned from that quick 40-lap stint? Who's going to be more aggressive than what they were previously? And who's going to be a little bit more patient moving forward?
Well, there's still a lot of racing left to go. We're not even halfway yet. And, as we said, Samuel, I think we're going to hit lap 100, lap 9 on that mark. And we're really going to see the frustration and the patience gone for drivers to make some daring bonsai moves to show what they got to try to make it in here. Under caution in the early going, the pace car catching the field. Man out in front, Dennis Moore second. We'll keep an eye on Dennis Moore. Samuel, he's one of those guys from the Beaver State, and we talked about him racing for a chance for a championship, but he's getting experience and he's getting more lap time and he's getting more knowledge, and he's won some ARCA races and he's done good in the truck series. Never won in Cup. I got a feeling, though, it's coming soon. Dennis Moore, and well as other Beaver State drivers, have just really impressed so many people this year.
Yeah, Dennis Moore coming in. This is going to be his 12th start this season, and having one pole position for himself this season, 5 top 5s, 7 top 10s. I think the only reason that Dennis Moore didn't make the playoffs was because he didn't have enough starts. But if he showed up for every single race, this 44 could have been a threat for a championship this season. And just makes you think, Wesley, next season, Dennis Moore, Beaver State Racing, they've been stepping up on this, second half of this season. How much growth, and who will be the next driver to really grow a lot moving into next season, and who might be the newcomers that could change things up?
Understanding there is some technical issues on the machine of BJ. So there are some problems on Duval. BJ Duval, the 85, falling back out of the top 20 in 19th. Lights are off on the pace car. The field will make their way back before the sunset to the Geico restart zone. And they will get ready to send it again off of turn number 4. And Samuel, the lights are illuminated virtually around Homestead, Miami. And we're getting ready for a shootout. Green flag back in the air. Just about 20 or so laps to halfway. We're taking 4 to the championship in the green.
And already seeing Dan West Jr. on the extreme high line, trying to get back up to speed as quick as possible, but it's everyone else battling for that of second and for third. They are on top of one another, and I'm excited to see what is Caden Anderson going to do as well for that of Sean Bridesman. Both going to be having another resurgence to try to move up and be up front. His old boy, Bridesman loose, holding on somehow for the 46.
What a save, and they're wrecking in the back. We got problems in the back with Aaron Cooper. Aaron Cooper, another car, is wrecked into the pit lane. BJ Tidrick, one of the playoff drivers. Will Duval's involved. And there's another car that is wrecked in the entrance of the pit lane as well.
I believe that was Frank Harris, that other driver.
Is it Frank Harris in the 11 again?
I believe so.
Maybe Troy Daggett in 51 maybe as well? I don't know. We'll find out. Watch this. Here's your replay.
Oh, just got loose.
Oh, no. Well, there you go.
I mean, we saw front runners having issues as well. I think, Will Duval might have been just running, trying to catch up to the field as
I don't think he
you
was
were talking about him having issues. And so he was on pit road once they went green.
Yeah, there was another car that got wrecked in the pit lane, and we're trying to find it. Maybe my colleague's saying it's Frank Harris. I was thinking it might have been Troy Daggett.
Looking at it from my angle, it was the 51. It was Troy Daggett.
Okay, well, it was Troy Daggett. All right. Well, obviously, Samuel, I don't think these guys in the front are going to pit. Not after they just pit 5 laps to go. They just came down to the pit lane. So.
Well, you'd be wrong. Sean Bridesman leading that group of the drivers that were not involved, and everyone else following him are drivers that were involved in that last wreck. But for Sean Bridesman, his goal, come in, top off with fuel, have as much fuel as possible, so we might be able to stretch it out a little bit further than everyone else if this race stays green.
Sean Bridesman is down and away. And also my pick, Tyler King, on the pit lane as well, pitting too. So, lap 49 of 134 laps here. Here they come. Obviously see that blend line down at the bottom of the racetrack. They have to commit to that blend line before they can pull it back on onto the racetrack. Racing groove, if you will. Penalties will be adhered if they do not follow that.
I mean, you think back, Wesley, for you think back for the truck series for, at Chicagoland, Dan West Jr., he messed up on the blend line back for that truck race and cost his shot for winning and locking himself for that week. So 55, I think he's learned his lesson already this round. The question is, for all the other playoff drivers, have they found anything that could potentially ruin their night to take them away from getting a win here?
Samuel Jeff Stabnow, How hungry is the Billings, Montana native to finally just get a win before the end of the season in 24?
Yeah, I mean, I was talking, to Jeff a little bit before this race started, and you just got a brief, feeling of how this season's been. He's been trying to, figure out, is it excuses on why I've been taken out? Has it just been poor luck? And he's kind of just thrown it out the window and said, you know what, just gonna race my race, and I'm not gonna, blame it on excuses anymore. If something happens, it happens. I'll just move on to the next week. And I think with having that type of mentality, Wesley, it's a double-sided sword. You never know what you're going to get. You can get a driver that, is just going to go out there, race everyone as hard as they can, or going to be a lot more relaxed going into these races and might be a lot more fluid to avoid some of the spots that he's been placed into with kind of having that pressure. I mean, drivers put pressure on themselves, expecting victories each and every week. See if a little bit more of a relaxed mentality for this 24 team is going to be able to get him into victory lane, or at least just get a top 3 finish here tonight.
Coming up on 20 laps remaining here in the first half of this race, under 20 laps remaining. We're on lap number 50 completed, 50 laps. Lap 67 is halfway. And obviously, as me and Samuel reiterated on, when they get down to the nitty-gritty, for the second half of this race, we got a feeling it's going to be a barn burner. We got a feeling that the patience is gone. Should be a fun one. We're glad you're here. All right, lights are off for the pace car. And the field get ready to go by start zone this time by. And we'll get ready to get this underway. After the second caution, this will be the third green flag, second restart of the race. As here comes now Dan West Jr. inside, stab now outside, inside lane, pulls away, 2, 3, car link, Shelton Washington. DW starting turn 1.
And right now, you're already starting to see the progressive bank of different drivers, loving where they're at, some going high, low, or even up to the wall. And you're already seeing our front about 6, deciding to run a little bit higher, kind of a middle groove lane and through that of 1 and 2, and then dropping low through 3 and 4. And, when you come to these mile-and-a-half courses, you look at Homestead. From afar, you'd say, hey, turns 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, they look almost identical, but turns 1 and 2 a little bit easier to get in. Turns 3 and 4, you got to be a little bit careful, not coming in with too much speed, or it could be costing you with speed coming out of the corner. As up front, Wesley, we're already starting to see it. Front 8 all in line.
Front 8 all in a line, all in a pack. Here they come, side by side is Vining and Lowther. Chris Wine in front of them. Stephen O'Hare, Lake Peterson, all there. Down the front straightaway. Saul Vining go below the apron, drift up in front of them. They save their cars. And listen to that roar of those cars coming down the straightaway here at Homestead. Vining slips here. Now comes Lake Peterson, about to be split. Vining, Brightsman outside, inside, Clowns to the left of me, Jokers to the right, Vining's in the middle, and now Bloom will go and run with him as they go to turn 1.
And luckily, clearing that of James Vining was Stephen O'Hare and Sean Brightsman, both splitting the 333. But that is such a chaotic moment to be in, especially for James Vining. That was that middle driver. You really don't have a place that your mark is of make sure you don't, make contact with the other drivers. Driver on the inside, it's stick on the white line. Driver on the outside, stick it to the outside wall and try not to make contact with that middle driver. But they cleaned it up, able to get sorted. And it's that of Stephen O'Hare taking the 9th place position. But Sean Brightsman, Wesley, that 46 team came into pit road, topped off with fuel. Biggest mover from that restart currently has done a great job moving up 4 positions since the restart and now up to 10th place.
You see everybody single file. Right now, everyone's single file. No one to bring jumping out of the line. Across the start-finish line. There you see Anderson Stab now. Anderson and Stab now. Second and third. More. All the while, Samuel. Dan West Jr. pulling away from him. What a strong run in that 55 car he has over the field as they work their way down to the inside of the racetrack in turn number 3.
Yeah, we're starting to see everyone early going, still staying pretty low with the way that their setup is, but we're starting to see Lake Peterson now getting a little bit antsy. He's gotten himself, had that lap 2 and got into the inside wall, go down to turn number 2, now making the pass and moving up to 7th after making the pass on Dan Lather. And, for Lake Peterson, Wesley comes in tonight's race, 9 wins. I mean, the next closest guy has 4, and that being, Caden Anderson and Sean Breisman both tied with 4. It is incredible to see Lake Peterson the way that he is coming back after that early incident. As we look and see the battle currently for that of 3rd place, Dennis Moore coming in and catching up to Caden Anderson. But Wesley, all the different scenarios right now where all the drivers that are in blue, with that being Dan West Jr., Caden Anderson, and Chris White, our front 4 that came in tonight would be our front 4 leaving tonight if the race finished where they lie now.
And right now, there goes White with Lake Peterson along with O'Hare right there with him. And all the while, it is Dan West Jr., the man they're chasing. That's going on behind the top 5 for 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th. We go side by side so you don't miss a thing. Commercial break. And we're back with more coverage in a moment from Homestead.
An automobile purchase shouldn't be hard. The hardest part for the consumer in the whole process should be selecting the vehicle. We have the online credit application. We can bring the car to you to see it, to test drive it, to deliver it. We have all the tools in place, and we've had them in place for a long time. I just think now we've perfected it. It's become part of our culture. We've, kind of taken it to the next level. It is easy, and it should be easy, and it should be fun, and it shouldn't take a whole lot of time.
Hey, it's Wesley Outland on the set of the Bull Ring on Speed 51 TV, but I also want to remind everybody that you can keep up with coverage of esports with the Northwest Cup and Truck Series, the American iRacing League, S&B Cup Series, and so much more on your home for sim racing, LSRTV. Of course, remember, you can watch it, and then you can listen to it on CRN, the community radio network at wearecrn.com. Check us out when you can.
And we welcome back to coverage here for the Northwest iRacing Cup Series. I'm Wesley Outland. Samuel Dyer is down below. And Samuel, your first half of the race, things are kind of calm. Things are kind of quiet. I think it's the calm before the storm before I think things really go AWOL down the stretch. Your take of the race so far at Homestead, Miami.
Yeah, I mean, it was very calm in those first 40 laps, and then we had that, caution from Frank Harris for taking an odd strategy into pit road, and then, a smaller wreck coming after that of drivers just on colder tires, slipping and sliding, not used to, that freshness and feeling like they're on ice. But I gotta say, though, with that, the way that the caution's laid out, these drivers now know they just need to do one more pit stop and they can make it to the end of tonight's race, which, looking at where the laps are currently, if they pit in the next about 10 laps, they should be good to make it to the end of this race. So, pit road strategies, I think that's going to be the big thing that changes the mind of these drivers on when and where, and that's going to be the key point on who's making it to the final four.
Everybody, for the most part, has, as we said, been playing very nicely with each other. No one breaking out of line as we're right now working halfway coming up here this time by. This is the Tom Denchel Auto Group mid-race report. Samuel, any drivers that you think that are sticking out that we should keep an eye on? We're seeing Anderson right now battle with Stabnow. Obviously, he's making a climb. We know Anderson needs a win. A win puts him in the final four. But man, I also think of Dan West Jr. We know he's already in the championship four, but he's showing his strengths, if you will, tonight here at Homestead, kind of like what we've seen Lake Peterson do the first couple of races.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing it right now. Drivers that are looking chaotic at the moment on the way that they're racing currently. And, those are all playoff drivers that are recognizing where they need to be. And, for Stephen O'Hare, Kevin Smith, they both need to be aggressive. But, if we're looking at drivers that maybe had early struggles and are making a surge forward, we already know Caden Anderson, biggest mover so far this race. But Lake Peterson, he's going to be a driver in my eyes. Watch out for that 0-9, especially after that, late pit road, last pit stop of the night. I think the 0-9 might be a driver to watch out for in those last 30 laps.
And this has been the Tom Denchel Auto Group mid-race report. We're halfway through the first half of the race, by the way. Thanks to Tom Denchel Auto Group for sponsoring the race. To the course for the Northwest iRacing Cup and Truck Series. Back to on-track action, ready for the second half of this race. And right now, Dan West Jr. picking them up, putting them down. Out in front. Look at this pack of traffic behind Anderson. It's White. Stabnow, Smith, 3 wide in the middle, Lake Peterson. Jeff Stabnow, look out. Kevin Smith is coming, and Dennis Moore threading the needle as well. In the 44 up the racetrack, it's Dan Lowther about got in the concrete out of turn number 4.
Yeah, Dan Lowther almost dropping all the way back and has fallen into the clutches of that of Jeff Stabnow. I mean, that of Sean Breitzman. Jeff Stabnow, though, got to be careful because he's racing with a driver that has really nothing but just aggression in his eyes. Kevin Smith, he knows he needs to get moving up to 4th. But the game of playing patience, Wesley, we're now entering where the drivers are going to be about 30 to 35 laps away from coming to the pit road. Around lap 100 to 105 is their window that they're looking for. And for a lot of these drivers, they're hoping not to cause a wreck as Jeff Stabnow and Lake Peterson. It is just a giant do-si-do out there, Wesley. You don't know where the next person's going to be.
And right now, Lake Peterson up the racetrack. Obviously, Peterson. Samuel, Lake Peterson, one of those drivers where, honestly, if it was me, I would stay out of everybody's in the championship 4. I know I'm in the green. Have at it, boys. Battle. Guys that are not racing for a championship, you guys do whatever you want to get. All of these shenanigans, I'm staying out of everybody's way. I know I'm going to Vegas for a championship.
Yeah, but I mean, that's settling. That is not the mentality of someone that is going to go win a championship if you're just settling where you're at, especially when you know you're already locked in. These are the races where you throw everything out there to get the win, because if you don't, you got the shot of that of Sean Breitzman, or even having one of these drivers in red have a shot to win and get in. So for the 0-9, he wants to get all the wins, all the momentum going into that championship race in that of Las Vegas. And Wesley, I mean, a lot of the pressure has to be on now for the battle for second. We get to see Caden Anderson in 37 in second, third's that of Chris White, then Dennis Moore in 4th. Moore's putting on a lot of pressure, but it's Chris White, who we don't really, haven't touched on a lot here tonight, but is 83 when it comes to tire saving. He's been well known of having really good runs when it comes down to these types of tracks.
Missing Toby Ritters. Hopefully we're going to see him tonight, but he says his tech is slower than a snail. Good thing that the PC or the snail. I thought he was going to say the PCs is slow, so there you go. Hopefully we're going to have him race. Hopefully they'll make the finale next week. 74 of 134 halfway through this event. 2 caution flags in the first 75 laps of this event has halted things. Dan West Jr., Caden Anderson, Chris White, Samuel. I find it funny, my friend, that first, second, third are drivers that are second, third, and fourth in the playoffs.
Yeah, and you know, you look at those top 3, they've been extremely quick and strong all season. I mean, if you look at the drivers that are in our top 4, Chris White, obviously is going to be one of the biggest underdogs coming into Las Vegas, but if there's anything to take here tonight, Chris White certainly is a fighter, even though he knows he came in tied for second in points here tonight, so there was a little bit of a buffer for him to work with. He had 8 points between himself and Sean Breisman, and Breisman being the only driver that can point his way in to the Final Four. Our other 3 drivers, of B.J. Tidgerick, that of Stephen O'Hare, and Kevin Smith, all 3 of those drivers have to win him to get in. So Chris White, all he needs to do, make sure he's right on the back bumper of Caden Anderson, and he'll be moving on to our Championship 4.
Chris White and Dan West Jr. were tied for second and third. Is Caden Anderson right now. You heard the frustration from Caden Anderson after the mishaps of last Monday night. Is that hashtag Corn Dog Mafia? Oh my.
That it is.
What is the story with that, Samuel? Do you know? Hashtag we love corn dogs?
Well, I believe Greg told us that the scheme that he's running back at Indy Oval, Greg told us that this scheme is actually kind of a replica of what what Caden Anderson runs in person. So I'm guessing it's something of live in person of hashtag Corn Dog Mafia that this 37's repping. But hey, he's out here, certainly has been doing everything in his power for that of Caden Anderson to kind of look like the boss of a Mafia with how well he's been running in the playoffs. I mean, this 37, when Lake Peterson wasn't there, it was this 37 that was one of the fastest drivers back in the round of 12. In this round of 8 with Lake Peterson here, it's been a little bit of a switch from where drivers are at, but certainly a lot of speed has been in, especially with the drivers that are currently, up in the top, you could say top 7 as into pit road. Ryan Bloom in the 25 Monster Energy drink machine. A little bit, this is right around the marker that drivers can make it on fuel. This is an extreme undercut from the 25 team.
Ryan Bloom in the top 20 when he pitted. Here comes the cavalry roaring by. You hear it? Lap 80 of 134 Ford Mustang. Ryan Bloom back down and away. And there comes the pack off of 2. Anderson and White battle now for second and third. Back straightaway in there, poking out to the left. Sean Brightsman, the Brights Boutique, number 46. Samuel Brightsman needs to finish in a decent spot, or he is not going to be defending his Northwest iRacing Cup Series crown of last year. '81 of 134 laps and down to the inside of the racetrack. Dennis Moore right there in front of Brightsman. In front of Moore is O'Hare. Drivers in red as well as Smith. They need a win to punch their ticket in the Championship 4 race at Vegas next week. Round 31 for the championship. You here with me, buddy? You got a copy?
Yeah, I got a copy. I'm here. I'm just watching these guys battling right now, just seeing who's going to make what move currently, Wesley.
West, Anderson, and White right there, as we mentioned, 1, 2, and 3. Those drivers are second, third, and fourth. Smith and O'Hare. Dennis Moore right there as well. Sean Brightsman, here he comes. Samuel trying to go 3 wide as they go back to turn 1 on lap 83.
Yeah, right now Sean Brightsman has been the driver that has kind of just been waiting and looming, trying to be patient on which pass he's going to be making, as still seeing our second back to 7th all on top of one another within a second and a half of each other. Keeping it close, but you're seeing drivers trying to maximize as much speed as possible as they're all trying to go as low as possible down to that white line. Not completely trying to touch the wet line, as if you touch the apron, that could scrub off a lot of time for yourself coming out of the corner. But seeing this battle currently of Dennis Moore as well as O'Hare and Sean Brightsman all trying to figure out where they're going to be placed for the top 5. Incredible to watch, but as we've been watching this battle, Wesley, our playoff driver, BJ Tidrick, has made his money stop extremely early than everyone else, currently a lap down, so he's got to make sure he gains all that time back. We've also seen a couple of other drivers coming in and making their money stops. Dan Lather, Jeff Stabnow, as well as BJ Tidrick, and now of the top 10, Dennis Moore into pit road.
Dennis Moore coming down in the 44. So Samuel, do you think we're going to see green flag pit stops now starting to happen? Tyler King is coming down to the pit lane as well.
Yeah, these are the drivers that are trying to split this stint in half from when they went into pit road back on lap 42, split this race in half so they can stretch it all the way to the end of the race. And, we're going to be seeing a little bit of a difference. It's Caden Anderson now into pit road for the 37. We're going to be seeing some drivers that are up front decide to just stay until lap 100 or even 110 is the furthest that these drivers can really stretch out their fuel. We'll see if anyone wants to risk it to go that far. Hearing over the radio, though, a lot of our playoff drivers, when BJ Tidrick came into pit road, kind of initiated all the other playoff drivers to come in. Here comes our leader, Dan West Jr. into pit road as well.
And by the way, that was not Tyler King that pitted. It was the 71 of Aaron Cooper that just came down the pit lane when all those cars were in the sequence of pitting. And now here comes Moore with Dan West Jr. now giving up the lead, giving it now to Kevin Smith. A must-win for the driver of the 00 out of Hermiston, Washington, as DWJ is right now second in the points to go to the championship 4. Meanwhile, Brightsman, Smith, they battle. Defending champion of the lead as here comes more cars. Chris White, Kevin Smith onto the pit lane.
Sean Brightsman needed this, getting a lap led, massive for this 46 team. Needs to get as many points as possible because Caden Anderson came in sooner, has not led a lap yet for that of the 37. That's going to be making the difference between that of the 46 and the 37 from here on out. Only 2 points between Sean Brightsman and Caden Anderson.
Kevin Smith pitting. Brightsman stay there. That's my pick. Second, there's your pick, Anderson. Back on the racetrack, Anderson is in 7th. I don't think he's pitted yet either, Samuel.
Caden Anderson has come into pit road.
He did pit, okay.
Yeah, he pitted back
You're exactly
on lap
right. My
86.
apologies.
And then
You're right. You're right, Samuel. The top 5 are the cars that have not pitted yet. It'll cycle back around to Dan West Jr.
And I think for Dan West Jr., his indication of I had to come into pit road was when Caden came in back on lap 86. Then on 87, that's when the 55 came into pit road. For Sean Breitzman, though, at the moment, continue to stretch it out. Again, I want to say that for this 46 team, he's going to do his best to try to stretch it out as long as possible, because the last time we had a yellow Wesley, most of our front runners did not come into pit road. It was Sean Breitzman, though, that came in, topped off, and restarted all the way back in 12th place. Now, after the whole entire pit cycle, up to the lead.
Making it work for sure as here they come. Back across that start-finish line, lap 92. Worked lap 91 completed. With Breitzman, O'Hare, Peterson, top three, Daggett, King. All there. There you see them also. Those cars that pitted earlier. Moore, Smith, Stabnow. Last car on the lead lap, O'Hare. He's in second, but he's getting passed by all of these faster cars. And why is that, Sammy D? Because they got fresh rubber.
Fresh rubber and utilizing the draft to work with one another. Those are two massive things for that of Chris White and for Dennis Moore. And you see White saying, hey, I just need to get by you. I want to be this lead driver, get as many points as possible so I don't have to worry about the potential of being bumped out based off of points. Because with Sean Breitzman, where he lies currently, could be knocking Chris White out of the playoffs as they unlap themselves getting by the Prize Boutique 46 machine.
West dominating this event in the early going. He has now fell back to 6th. And there you see Sean Breitzman, the Brightry defending champion of last year. There's Dan West Jr., defending Truck Series champion. And Breitzman and O'Hare 1 and 2. O'Hare needs a win to punch his ticket to the championship 4 at Vegas. And there's a caution.
Yellow.
Caution Vining. Well, this changes everything, Sammy D.
Oh, yeah, it does. Because Sean Breitzman, O'Hare, I mean, this fits perfectly for those drivers coming into pit road, because now they're going to be having an advantage, about a 5-10 lap advantage over the drivers that already pitted, but they're going to have to be back in traffic. It's going to be time to tell which drivers are going to be tempted to come into pit road, possibly use another set. There's O'Hare into Vining.
No. Oh, no. O'Hare, second place car, got into James Vining, the Catman. James Vining had a spectacular finish in the ARCA race here at Friday night, this past Friday night. Aerial coverage, by the way, provided by LSRTV. Samuel, we watch it one more time from the top of the
Yeah, I mean, for James Vining, I mean, a huge surprise. Always thinking about, okay, let's get by the 25. How do we set up, second place runner? Don't want to mess up the lead lap driver. I've got fresher tires than him. Gets into the wall, and at that point, you're just hoping that they don't come down, but did, and James Vining, hard impact into the inside wall. And you can kind of see the toe messed up on the 333, and he's just struggling to get going. But for that of James Vining, I believe he did have a fast repair, so able to utilize that. Going to be back out, but here comes into pit road Wesley. Everyone following suit with Sean Breitzman. That track position, that's so important. The 46, as well as the 41, is going to have it.
Could you say money stop right now? I think so. And we're also approaching lap 100. Here comes Lake Peterson in, Breitzman in, O'Hare is in, Union Anderson is in. Everybody on the pit lane, at least in the top 15. The race off pit road. Here they come. Sean Breitzman in and out first. O'Hare right behind him.
And Wesley, with seeing all these drivers that came into pit road and getting out, do want to give note, the top 4 did not come into pit road, being Jeff Stabnow,
right.
Kevin Smith, Chris White, and Dennis Moore did not pit. Everyone else did, so Sean Breitzman coming out of pit road first will be 5th place when they get restarted.
Well, there you have it. So Jeff Stabnow, the fast qualifier. Looks like he's got a good car, making some strategy runs, pulling out as staying in the leader. You got these other cars in front of him like Aaron Cooper and, Will Duvall just pitted, but Aaron Cooper and Frank Harris, they are going to take the wave around whenever the one-to-go indication is given. BJ Tindrick as well. And when the opportunity is given for the wave around, they will take that. And then we'll put Stabnow and Kevin Smith alongside each other on the front row as we approach the finish of things here. Don't forget, the trucks are here on Wednesday night. They'll lock in their final four for Vegas at Homestead as well. Samuel, I don't think that one will be disappointing either. Wednesday night.
No, not at all. Tons of racing action that we get to see here on LSRTV. And if you would like to be one of the drivers that gets covered here on LSRTV, you can go to iRacing.com. More information on how to get your iRacing career started. Wesley, gotta say, it's November. It's Black Friday month. 50% off to get yourself started on iRacing.
50% off?
50% off for this month.
Can't beat that.
No, not at all. And you know what's
that at
crazy,
all.
Wesley? We always see drivers, for the eNASCAR Coca-Cola series, they're all using wheels. I know some drivers that are in the higher tier echelon of iRacing drivers that only use a controller. So if you are just like, I don't have a wheel or pedals, if you've got yourself a controller, an Xbox controller, you can get yourself racing on iRacing. Might take a lot of time and practice, but you can be just as fast as some of these guys out here.
So what if I don't have a iRacing rig, but I want to race with my keyboard and my mouse?
You can do that as well. It is probably the most difficult way to do it. I would say, hey, do a lot of time trials first and make sure you got a handle of your car. But yeah, you can actually race with just your mouse if you would really like to.
Yeah. You remember back in the day when you ran the computer Papyrus games? Remember those? The Papyrus, NASCAR Heat and some other stuff where you literally had to use the keyboard. D was drive, B was brake, rows were to go left and right and stuff. Yeah.
I know people now that even do that still.
I'm sorry. I'm just unveiling how old I am. Pace car is coming in. Here it comes. Ducking onto the pit lane. Back to the Geico restart zone. 35. Work 100 next time by. Green flag in the air. Well. Stabnow back out in front, Samuel. Here comes Smith on the outside. White is there. Brightsman there.
Dan Lather, inside wall, does not bring out a yellow 63 heavy. Left side damage on that front end. He's going to try to get going once again. But for Dan Lather, he's going to need a caution to get back into the mix of this. And that is not the way he wanted his race to come here late. Especially, we've seen drivers have to come back from issues, but you don't want to get late issues for yourself.
And what's happened to Stabnow? Stack. Third, fourth back. Dan Lowther takes a lick and keeps on ticking. But he lost a considerable amount. Almost 29 seconds, 30 seconds back to the leaders. They might run him down and put him a lap down. Here they come. We're 100 laps in. And Samuel, we both said this, 5 laps. Oh, yeah, pressure's gone. Pressure mounts. Patience is gone. May the best Final Four punch their ticket in.
Yeah, and right now we're starting to see all the different strategy being thrown out. Update for Dan Lather, went into pit road, getting service done for the 63 team, but you see Kevin Smith ahead. Smith on older tires. It's Sean Brightsman and Stefan O'Hare, both going to be on the freshest tires, and they are both two different stories. Both drivers outside looking in coming into today's race. For that of Stefan O'Hare, needs to win to move on to the next round. But for Sean Brightsman, he needs to make sure he's besting in points 2 other drivers just in case O'Hare wins or that of Kevin Smith wins. Dan Lather gets back onto the racing surface.
Yeah, there's 3 car getting lapped now as here comes the field. Working off of turn number 4. Lather on the outside lane now amongst the snakes patch of the fast cars. Anderson in front of him. Peterson behind him. And down to the inside. 4 cars for the lead. Kevin Smith in the middle. Brightsman on the bottom. O'Hare to the outside. They're 3 wide. Smith drifts up in front of O'Hare. What a move. Number 2, 3 lanes fast. Still can't get around him as O'Hare and Brightsman. Smith will not be denied as they work off 4.
O'Hare gets back into the throttle too soon, gets loose, holds on for the 41, but almost wrecked in front of everybody and could have taken almost every single playoff driver with him. But the 41 holds on strong, but Bridesman up to the lead as he tries to make the pass on the exit of the corner.
Samuel Dyer, can you say save of the night right there for Stephen O'Hare? That could have been bad, and he's still back in the dogfight.
Yeah, it honestly could have been a race-ending incident for the 41. He's already had contact with other drivers because of the similar situation, but it is a complete dogfight after when you go look back from the battle for first. I mean, you got Caden Anderson as well as seeing Lake Peterson, the driver that got wrecked out on the second lap of the race. Lake Peterson now up into the top 5 up to 4th.
Back across the line. 3 wide. Peterson in the middle. Anderson drifted up in front of Lowther as O'Hare tries to battle on the outside of Peterson. And well, that goes on Brightsman, who won the championship last year. And Samuel, we remember his story. It's kind of like Kevin Smith's. He missed a race because of moving from Puyallup, Washington to Tucson, Arizona. He had to win the race. We went to Texas. He won the penultimate race of the year. And then he went on to Phoenix last year to win the championship. Sean Brightsman is there 3 wide behind him. Anderson now climbing. Smith falling back. Peterson and O'Hare trying to get around him. And Dan West Jr. back in the battle. And Brightsman says, you guys won the battle. I'm going to pull away. He's almost half a second from the pack out of 2.
Yeah, but the one thing that is going to be hurting Sean Brightsman is the fact that he is only a half a second away. If he was up to 7/10, I would feel a lot more comfortable. But the draft is still going to be something to watch out for these drivers as you see the battle for second place. Kane Anderson trying to get as close as he can to the 09. He's trying to do side drafting. If closer he gets to that quarter panel for the 09, the more he slows down that driver and allows his car to move quicker and pass the 09, making that pass up to second. Kane Anderson now a half a second back, but he is closing ground because he's got the draft of the 46 ahead of him.
Brightsman is the man out in front. Anderson into second. Peterson, West, O'Hare. There you see how much do you have? What are you going to do? What are you going to put on the line as these drivers work their way, fighting, clawing, juking, jiving, battling, surviving to make it to this race at Vegas? And amongst that going on, Sean Brightsman, we mentioned it earlier, in orange. You win, you go green. It's that simple, Samuel. It's that simple.
Yeah, it's that simple. And right now, where the drivers lie currently, Wesley, Chris White would be the driver that would be knocked out moving into Las Vegas. Chris White needs to gain 2 more positions if Sean Brightsman wins this race.
Actually, Brightsman, Anderson, there goes Weston, Peterson side by side for third. A man that's just looking for a checkered flag is Lake Peterson. He punched his ticket in the round of 8 earlier to advance to the Final 4. Then he went on to win the next week in a row. had some struggles last week at New Hampshire. Had some problems earlier in this race, Samuel, but making some adjustments, being in the end. Now we see Brightsman and Anderson fight for the lead.
Oh, a little bit of contact.
Anderson. Wow.
And Wesley, you think back to the way that the round of 12 ended at Atlanta. Caden Anderson able to get the win there, but you're wondering, is there any type of frustration that can be mounting up? I mean, Caden Anderson talked about it last week, how he wanted to get, wins, and he felt like drivers that were around him, lap traffic wasn't playing fair around the 37. Well, right now, aggression, and you're just seeing how Caden Anderson trying to mount a way to get a win. If Anderson wins, then it's Brightsman that could be knocked out currently where the drivers lie.
Caden Anderson outside, up the right, battles back. 20 laps to go this time by. Into 3. Staying single file, no one jumping out of line. Who will make the desperate moves? 20 to go. Ladies and gentlemen, who's going to the final 4? Brightsman, one of those drivers in orange outside the cutoff. He wins. He goes to Grinderson in blue, number 4 seed. He could punch his ticket in. Obviously, we've seen West and Peterson. Suffice to say, Samuel, I think positions 1 and 2 to the playoffs.
Yeah, they're feeling very comfortable where they're lying currently. And, man, it's been amazing to watch how the drivers all have been putting in so much work trying to make the pass. But Wesley, I mean, Caden Anderson, he was right there, almost secured the pass for the lead, but not able to. And that's kind of what this aero package is doing for that of Sean Brightsman. We didn't really talk about it at the beginning of the race, but iRacing, the most recent aero package update, made it to where side drafting a lot more prevalent here for the Cup drivers at every single course we go to. So it allows drivers to really defend much easier with one another, and that's why we've been seeing it's so difficult to make passes, especially also with the side drafting being added, made dirty air a lot stronger. So Sean Brightsman, all he needs to do is make sure his back bumper is in the same line of wherever Caden Anderson's front bumper goes, and he'll be defending perfectly, utilizing that dirty air.
Cross the start-finish line, and there you see him down there into turn number 1. 17 to go. Peterson outside. Here comes Dan West Jr. Bottom, 55, inside. Trying to climb back into the top 5. He's in 3rd. Coming after Anderson. Wanting Brightsman. And Brightsman and Anderson neck right there as Weston and Peterson are exactly the same, Samuel, coming down the front straightaway. 16 laps to go. Now they snake single file. The roar single file in a pack. Into turn number 1, they slither. And Brightsman up on Anderson as they work out of 2.
Yeah, you saw how aggressive Caden Anderson was in the first part of when these drivers went green again back on lap 97. And ever since then, once Caden Anderson caught up to Sean Brightsman, it's been starting to lose more ground. And the issue is Caden Anderson has to be running different lines than where he was before, which is now hurting the speed for the 37 and giving an opportunity for Dan West Jr. to possibly make the pass on Caden Anderson. And Wesley, where the drivers lie, there's just not enough position gap-wise with Sean Brightsman, Caden Anderson, to that of Chris White. Dan West Jr., because of the amount of laps that he led in the first, 3 quarters of this race, has gotten the bonus points for leading a lap and leading the most laps for the 55 team. So he is in a very comfortable position to move on. It's Chris White who has lost the draft of this league group. If he loses 2 more positions for Chris White, Caden Anderson could point his way into our Final Four if Sean Breitzman wins.
14 laps to go. Off 2 here at Homestead. Down the back straightaway. Breitzman now setting sail, pulling away. West Anderson now second to third. Samuel, I would think if Anderson stays where he's at right now, this is just a hunch. I would think it would be Breitzman wins, Peterson, West, Breitzman, Anderson. That would be my guess. Your take on that?
Right now, where the drivers
Or why?
lie, if Breitzman wins, it would be Breitzman, Lake Peterson, Dan West Jr., and Chris White moving on.
Wow.
Anderson needs to be making sure that he's got over 5 positions difference between himself and Chris White. But White currently in 7th, Anderson in 3rd. The gap just not big enough currently. Losing that position to Dan West Jr., massive to the 37 shot of possibly being that 4th driver in. For Sean Breitzman, Dan West Jr., Alliance teammates coming into today's race, it is all about figuring out how to get your teammates, get yourself first and foremost, and then teammates as O'Hare and also Lake Peterson, how to be careful with one another.
Yeah, they bounced off the wall in a shower of sparks. They hold it together. And we'll stay green, no harm, no foul. Cross the line, 11 laps to go. Who's going to Vegas? Gonna cash their chips in to next.
Yellow, yellow!
It's out! Oh, it's out with 11 to go. And this will change the entire outcome of this race now. Holy cow.
Well, let's hope that wasn't Frank Harris accidentally taking the wrong entrance again. As we're figuring out where the yellow came from.
Frank Harris, the 11 we're watching, or is it Dan Lowther in 63? We'll find out what happened here. A caution nonetheless with 11. Now make it 10 laps to go. Dan Lowther, was it you? Frank Harris and the 11. What is Frank doing?
Did he do the same thing again?
I
think he did the same thing, just pulled it off course, and yellow gets weight for that.
Wow. Why? Oh my.
Homestead is one of the weirder, with iRacing systems, usually it's an on-track
intentional, do you
incident.
Think? You don't think it's intentional?
No, I think he was calling it a day for himself and just pulled off track thinking that the yellow wasn't going to be thrown. But
well, here
Indianapolis,
they come, Samuel.
Homestead, yeah, it is going to be all about who can get the best start here.
Oh, Weston!
And who's going to fake it.
Pit! West did not pit. He threw an audible at the last second. Dan West Jr. did not pit, and neither did Caden Anderson, Samuel. Oh, my goodness.
I was wondering who was going to think about faking it because a lot of these drivers only had one more set left. Now, Dan West Jr. and Caden Anderson both have laid their bed and they got to sleep in it because there is no other time to come into pit road and get tires and have an advantage to go through the whole entire top 14 of lead lap drivers. It's not going to be possible, but out of pit road looks to be that of Sean Breitzman making it out. Then Lake Peterson, 3 wide. Who's going to get that 6th place out of pit road?
Wow, wow, wow. They did not pit. Talk about a Hail Mary. Going for just a last shot effort. Smart? Samuel, bad? What do you think?
I think this could have been Dan West Jr. just trying to make sure and kind of block Caden Anderson from getting a lap led. Still, the 37 has not led a lap yet this race, I don't believe. And that is a 1 point that can really change the destiny of if the 37 makes it in or not. But Dan West Jr., because he's led the most laps today, he's now got a 10-point buffer between himself and Sean Breitzman, and also has a 2-point buffer between himself, Chris White, and having a 7-point gap between himself and Anderson. So adding those points in, it's really helpful for these drivers to get every point possible. But for Kane Anderson, Dan West Jr., they are sitting ducks. And for Dan West Jr., he's got to hope that he does not fall to be over, I would say, all the way back to 13th, 14th position at the end of this race if we stay green to the end.
8 laps to go. Back straight away, and the field will settle in for a shootout of epic proportions. You talk about letting it all hang out, Samuel. This is what it's all about right here. The strategy, these guys are going to fight to get to the front. Oh, and mind you, we are still in the advertised race distance. There's a shot for double overtime if necessary. Not saying that it'll happen, but there is a chance that can take place. And that would just add more to the suspense and the drama that we've dealt with all night tonight.
Yeah, I mean, if I had to do a fake Larry Mack kind of stat here, I would imagine we're going to go into overtime just because of seeing Stephen O'Hare's racing for today. Every single time that we have been on fresh tires in the first 4 laps of that stint, Stephen O'Hare has gotten extremely loose and has made almost contact, almost wrecked in front of the whole entire field. Can he save it one more time if he gets aggressive again here late? Because you know it's all out. Stephen O'Hare needs a win to race for a championship next week.
And who is going to put it on the line? Dan West Jr. obviously looking for another win, but we think of guys like O'Hare, Sean Breitzman, Caden Anderson. They need a win to go to the championship 4 and join Dan West Jr. and Lake Peterson at Vegas, and it's only funny that they're right there amongst that snakes patch. Pace car gets ready to drop onto the pit lane. To make it 6 laps to go. Back to the Geico restart zone. Green flag in the air. Dan West Jr. gets the jump. Anderson to the inside. Peterson to the outside. Breitzman will follow it. They go to turn 1.
Sean Breitzman needs to get going. A little bit of a rub onto the 37, but it's Breitzman and Lake Peterson. Breitzman needs to get a win. Oh no.
Cars are crashed to the back straightaway. It's Stephen O'Hare and Jeff Stab now. They're down below the bottom of the apron. O'Hare, can you say championship hopes are done? Jeff Stab now. Pole car involved.
Oh
they
my goodness.
Out of it. Green flag. Now the caution waves.
Caden Anderson, heavy front end damage, but I believe Tyler King went flipping on the front stretch.
Oh, no. King involved. Anderson involved. And the caution will come out now. And
and it was Jeff Stab now that got loose.
This race will go to overtime. Look at Sean Breitzman and Peterson. I'm bouncing off of one another. Breitzman inside. Kevin Smith into King. Got up over Anderson and went airborne. Wouldn't say he went flipping through the air, but he went flying through the air. Kept all 4 wheels on the ground at the takeoff, Samuel. And this is just heartbreak for so many. You think of O'Hare, you think of King, you think of Anderson. Boy, oh boy, 4 laps to go. We're getting ready for overtime. We're going to step away, and we'll get you set for overtime as well. It'll be a good one. Checkered flag. Overtime 1 when we return. Boy, who's going to the final?
An automobile purchase shouldn't be hard. The hardest part for the consumer in the whole process should be selecting the vehicle. We have the online credit application. We can bring the car to you to see it, to test drive it, to deliver it. We have all the tools in place, and we've had them in place for a long time. I just think now we've perfected it. It's become part of our culture. We've, kind of taken it to the next level. It is easy, and it should be easy, and it should be fun, and it shouldn't take a whole lot of time.
Hey, it's Wesley Outlet on the set of the Bull Ring on Speed 51 TV, but I also want to remind everybody that you can keep up with coverage of esports with the Northwest Cup and Truck Series, the American iRacing League, S&B Cup Series, and so much more on your home for sim racing, LSRTV. Of course, remember, you can watch it, and then you can listen to it on CRN, the community radio network, at wearecrn.com. Check us out when you can.
Oh, boy. You want to talk about pressure. You want to talk about drama. You want to talk about laying it all on the line, even to the final lap and then some. Samuel, we got that here at Homestead. I told you this race wasn't going to disappoint.
No, it really didn't. The lights come on, the sun is set, and the drama kicks up as Wesley, with that contact that happened, Caden Anderson, who has no hood, didn't want to give up any track position. The 37 on older tires, damaged, is going to be on the inside row, currently in 5th. And as well, Dan West Jr., older tires, but currently in 2nd, going to be trying to work with Sean Breisman to try to defend to help out the 46 to get a win here.
Samuel, with the hood gone on Anderson's car, can he try to create some type of a bonsai move to run through the field? Or is that going to hurt him aerodynamically with that hood gone on the race car?
I just don't think he even has the tires to even try that type of a bonsai move. If he was on similar tires of everyone else and had this damage, I'd say, hey, yeah, he could try something reckless and see if it can stick, but he doesn't have the fresh tires. He's 30 lap older tires than the rest of the field around him. He just is going to be a sit and duck going backwards, which the driver he needs to make sure he's ahead of is leading this race.
This is overtime number 1. Remember, the leaders come to the CRN1 to go. Race is official. If not, the caution comes out. They'll reset and go again for a second attempt. If there is a second attempt and the caution comes before the white, the race is considered official at the time of the racing scoring loop, just like real NASCAR. Who's going to the final fightsman? Outside looking in. Kevin Smith, a must-win. Green flag with 3 to go. Overtime number 1 into turn 1, and Breisman is gone.
Breisman's gone, but it's Dan West Jr. Dan West Jr.'s on older tires, so he's just a sit and duck as well. As they're going to be slicing and dicing around the 55.
Smith up the inside to the outside. Peterson on the bottom. West Jr., we know those 2 cars are going. Kevin Smith up the outside, sideways to the line. CRN1 to go. Who's going to the final four for the final time? It's Sean Breisman to turn 1.
Wesley, if Kevin Smith wins this race, Breisman's going to be knocked out as that 4th driver and will not be racing for a championship 4. But if the 46 wins, he'll be kicking Caden Anderson out of that 4th place position. All the pressure's on our front 2 on who's making it to the Las Vegas.
Who wants it more? Breisman down to the inside. Kevin Smith one more time up top out of turn 4. Is he there? He is sideways. He can't do it. Sean Breisman wins. Defending champions going to the final 4 at Homestead. Kevin Smith with a valiant effort, getting loose on the last lap as Anderson is wrecked off the start-finish line as well. Checkered flag, and Sean Breisman has won. Orange will turn to green. Samuel, he will be joining, we know, Lake Peterson and Dan West Jr., who will get the final 4. Unofficially, we're thinking it's Chris White in 83.
Yeah, Caden Anderson was, because of where all the drivers lied, it's going to most likely be, we'll wait for the official note on it, but for my numbers, looks like it's going to be Sean Breisman, Chris White, Dan West Jr., and Lake Peterson, all at Las Vegas racing for a championship.
There you go. And the defending champion of last year, is now a Beaver State driver, plows in. Dennis Moore, Ryan Bloom, welcome to post-race style in the Northwest. High five salute. Sean Brightsman runs like a scared, scamped alley cat, spinning down below the bottom of the apron. Here comes Lowther with a blow and flips him over. Brightsman getting back on all four. And the celebration is on. Sean Brightsman, Samuel, has punched his ticket when it counted the most to go to the championship 4 at Vegas and defend the championship crown of last year. Sean Brightsman now plowed by BJ Tidrick. What you got to say, though, Sam? What an effort. What an effort by Kevin Smith. He tried so hard. I think he overdrove the car. He was so determined to try to get around Brightsman.
Yeah, Kevin Smith immediately after, giving congratulations to Sean Brightsman was, we'll talk about it with him, but man, he thought he had that race won, but got into that outside wall and just saw his chances, just snuffed away in an instant. But Wesley, what a race it was to see who's going to Las Vegas.
Sean Brightsman, checkered flag over Kevin Smith. Win. They tried so hard. Sean Brightsman getting it done, defending champion. Kevin Smith will settle for second in this race, but his chance to go to Vegas is out. Sadly, the true reality, second place, first place loser is for Kevin Smith tonight. Lake Peterson third. Chris White, by virtue of the points tied with Dan West Jr. going into this race, we think unofficially he's had enough to go to the championship 4. Dan West Jr., we know he's in. Lake Peterson's in. So there you go. Aaron Cooper, Ryan Bloom, Dennis Moore, Troy Daggett, BJ Tidrick, your top 10 at the checkered flag.
And this is where we start to see the heartbreak, right? Wesley in 11th, Stephen O'Hare must-win scenario did not happen. Jeff Stabnow making contact with Stephen O'Hare. That ruined both of their nights. Dan Lowther's going to be in 13th. Kenyon Anderson, heavy damage, could not even compete at the end with that damage and older tires. 14th for himself. Tyler King going to get 15th. James Vining 16th. Frank Harris, Will Duvall, as well as Russ Flumberg. Scott Hutchison's going to be the 20 drivers in our top 20. Last driver to really run here tonight was that of Stephen Paulison. It's Casey Garber and that of Carl Burke. Did not even start the race.
When we come back, the finish line post-race wrap-up. And by the way, finish line will not disappoint this week. Brett the Jet Hearn in his final Big Block Super Dirt Car race at Charlotte is joining us. Daniel Hemrick, the NASCAR Xfinity champion. Garrett Smith, Mason Diaz, so much more. And it's on Finish Line right here, Wednesday, 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 Central. When we come back, we talk to the top 3 of the Northwest and get ready for Vegas next week. Welcome back to Homestead Miami Speedway. It is now official. We'll unveil the top 4 here in a minute that will race at Vegas, and we welcome you to the finish line. Post-race wrap-up. I am Wesley Outland, Samuel Dyer alongside, and grabbing our top 3 on the podium. Starting with Lake Peterson. Lake, obviously, you had some problems earlier, but you redeemed yourself. You know you're going to Vegas. Thoughts of today's race? You finished 3rd.
Yeah, I think the result is a lot better than how my day actually went. There was, if something could have went wrong, it did go wrong. I think both times I got into Kevin. I think the first time, I think it was netcode. I looked back at it, and it was just like a race and ordeal. And the second time, I wasn't expecting him to check up as much as he did into the corner. Got into the back of him, and then it just started plowing like a snow plow. And then Sean just gave me the muscle going into turn 3, and wasn't going to be denied the win. So I didn't mean to get into him there and arc down into him, but I thought he was going to turn in, but that corner was his. He wasn't letting anyone go by, so pretty cool. Glad we were able to recover for a decent finish today.
Yeah, I mean, like with the way that this race started and how it kind of evolved with a bunch of up and downs throughout the race, were you at some point thinking, I just want a top 10 and wasn't really thinking for a top 3 finish?
I was honestly thinking about just leaving, if I was being honest. I wanted to stay just because, I don't know, inner competitor, but at the same time I was like, nothing was going right. So I don't know. A top 10 was nice. I was really hoping to try and get a top 5, and came out with the top 3, so I'll more than gladly take it.
Well, Lake, it all comes down to next week at Vegas, bud. Your final question was that, and your thoughts on that, as well as thank your sponsors. And man, what do you think we're going to see? What do you think we're going to see next week at Vegas? And do you feel like you've got all the ingredients together to win the championship?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm taking no mercy out on these guys next week. I want them to know that. So do everything I can with my free time, if I'm feeling it, to practice. It is a mile and a half, so track position is going to be key. So that'll be one of the main focuses. So we're going to have to go out and get the pole, work on the Q-lap stuff, and just got to be 3 other guys. Seems simple, but I know they're really tough to beat. But I'm really looking forward to it. I just want to thank Tom Denchel Auto Group, Ski Fleet Enterprises. Justin was on the box for me today, kind of guiding me through strategy just to salvage a day. Thank all of our admins. What a great season it's been. Really looking forward to the Final 4. And LSRTV. Appreciate everything you guys do.
There you go. He's one of those guys that'll race for a championship. The man that's been kind of like the Kyle Larson of our Northwest Cup Series this year. And, man, he could possibly do what Larson did yesterday at Phoenix, winning 10 races on the season. Of course, he's looking for another good year. Lake Peterson there in the 09. Runner-up in the race, Kevin Smith. Bonsai up on the top, tried everything you could. You were in the red. You knew you needed to win the Race Ford Championship. How do you feel second in the race and just trying so hard and coming up short just by second?
You know, honestly, I feel pretty damn good. Like I was telling you guys a few minutes ago, in the ARCA race, I went back and watched some of that. And I learned some stuff in the cockpit. So for me, it was a huge win to get back tonight, be competitive, and just run well. So for that, I'm happy. You know, I had thoughts of moving Sean out of the way, but I'm not going to do that. I don't want to do that. I wouldn't want somebody to do that to me necessarily. He you know, it would have been just punting him, and I'm just not into that. So anyways, congrats to Sean. What a great race. I love this top 4, by the way. This top 4, and I think that race ended with me sandwiched in there, right? Sean, Lake, Chris, and Dan, right? I think that's what you guys said. A perfect top 4. Couldn't be any better. Those are the 4 that should be going to the finals.
Yeah, Final 4 we're looking at. Looks like it's going to be Sean Bratchman after his win here tonight. Then it's Blake Peterson after his win that he got earlier this round. Then it's Dan West Jr. and Chris White going to be challenging for a championship next week. But, man, I mean, Kevin, for yourself, I mean, tonight, a great recovery for yourself and a great charge there at the end. But, man, what a season you've had and really the growth that we've seen from this 0-0 from the start of the season to now.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm happy, guys. I'm stoked. I'm super happy with the finish. You know, I've had some bad luck down the stretch. I think I've been, you know, I've been involved in some wrecks, and if you go back and look, probably at the last 8, 9, 10 of them, they've been from my rear quarter panel back. So I just feel like I just had some bad luck and went on vacation. So those are, you know, that was a choice. And again, I am so happy with this Final Four. I think these guys are going to throw it down this week. As a fan, couldn't have a better four to finish this out.
Hey, Kevin, if it's any consolation, you do have a chance to try to win the race in the Truck Series on Wednesday night, the Race 4 Championship.
Yeah, I mean, and this gives me confidence. I feel like, you know, again, I missed the boat in the ARCA deal. I really thought I could go out and win that race. There's some tough folks in there. You know, it got to be real competitive at the end. You know, these guys want to come in and push, and you know, to try to get in there and win a race and beat those guys. You know, I had to win and I had to beat those guys. And you know, Dan was tough, Dennis was tough, but I got back in the car and in the cockpit footage, noticed some stuff I was doing wrong, corrected that for tonight, and was competitive. And really didn't give room to guys that I normally would give room to. Just, you know, I mean, just tried that strategy because I haven't been given a whole lot of room lately either. So, you know, that worked out, and I had to win. I mean, at the end, like that 3 wide, I went 3 wide at the end, and, you know, I had to do something to get up there.
Well, Kevin, man, before we do let you go, I want you to thank sponsors, bud, and man, a valiant effort, I have to say that is something. You tried so hard, and at the end of the day, that's all you can say, man. Is you know, and truly class. You could have bumped, you could have raced Sean Brightsman, could have ran up in the wall, spun him out. You didn't do that, for sure. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, first and foremost, I want to thank Jeff and Sean and this league and this series. Just absolutely amazing. I'm super proud to be a part of it. They won a great deal. It actually seems like I got something against Jeff, and I really don't, because he was on the end of some, maybe a couple of squeezes or not a lot of room. But I just love these guys. I love what they do. Obviously, my teammates, Thunder Road, just super helpful in my development. And then Tom Denchel Auto Group. I mean, they're supportive of this deal. They love what this series stands for. They love the competitiveness in this series. They love the guys in this series, and we just want to be a part of it moving forward. Congrats to Sean, Lake, Chris, Dan. You guys rock. It's an honor to be up here.
Well, that's Kevin Smith. Yeah, go ahead, buddy. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's just an honor to be a part of that top 5 and to be up there with these guys. I'm just super humbled, and it's just awesome. So good luck to you guys next week. I hope to stink up the show and try to win that one, but good luck to you guys.
There you go. That's the thoughts of Kevin Smith again. And of course, we thank Tom Denchel Auto Group, and we hope to have them there back with us again for the Northwest and LSRTV coverage next year as well. So again, awesome job there for Kevin Smith. Victory lane we go. And this man was in the orange, okay? He needed a decent run. He got a decent finish. And that's checked off Kevin Smith. It was a must-win. And the defending Northwest iRacing Cup Series champion is going back to defend his title. That is the driver out of Puyallup, Washington, now from Tucson, Arizona. Sean Brightsman, your take of this crazy wild Homestead. And you are racing for a championship in Vegas next week.
Holy moly. Yeah, speechless a little bit to be able to do what we did there with the Brights Boutique, Toyota Camry, to lead some laps, kind of try a different strategy there, and just kind of be out to lunch during that first run. So to win this race in the fashion we did, yeah, we used up Blake a little bit there going into 3. That was more of just a miscue. I was following Dan and kind of trying to pay attention to where Lake was, and I just missed the turn in where he expected me to turn in. So we were up some doors there, and you know, of course, I was gonna try to take anything I could there to try to seal this victory and get me into the championship, because everybody else around me that had points on me were right there as well. So we had to, in this case, we had to win the race.
Yeah, I mean, Sean, talk about Dan and yourself on that last restart. Knowing that you had, a familiar face around you, how much did that help with your confidence going into that final restart?
It helped. It helped a whole lot because I knew Dan was on a little bit older tires. I knew he wasn't gonna race to wreck me or anything like that for the fact that if he wrecked himself, he might not be in the championship either. So, um, it definitely made it a little easier to make that high side pass in turn one and kind of try to get around Caden and Lake at the same time there. So definitely a lot easier to have your teammates there in front of you that aren't necessarily having to race for the win, or they don't have the tires to race for the win necessarily.
Well, Sean, I asked this question to Lake Peterson, and I'll say it to you as well. What's it going to take for you to go to Vegas next week and be the back-to-back Northwest iRacing Series champion of the Cup Series? And what would it mean to you to do that?
Oh, it's going to take me getting in here and practicing, to be honest. I've gone too much of the season not practicing at all and waiting until the last minute to join the server and do the driver's meeting and all that. So I'm going to have to put some time in before Monday and run several different tire runs, try to figure out what the car is going to do and get enough traffic or other people racing with me to kind of know what to expect if I'm out there racing other people for it. So looking forward to it. I'll tell you that. I'm looking forward to racing for the championship. Looking forward to hopefully trying to be the back-to-back Cup Series champion. That'd be awesome and amazing. And to be an admin and compete in this series and be where we're at is awesome. I mean, the amount of talent that we have in this field and the people that didn't make it to the championship for. I mean, we got Caden Anderson, you got Kevin Smith, who was right there battling. So Jeff Stabnow, who had terrible luck this year. So it's honestly just an honor to race with all the people that we race with in the series. There's a lot of good people here that are respectful during racing, and I just appreciate it. I appreciate them coming out every week and racing with us, and I hope to see more of it next year, and hopefully I can say that I'm the back-to-back champion.
All right, Sean, thank those sponsors, buddy. We'll see you at Vegas next week.
Thanks, Wes. I got to thank Bright's Boutique. Check us out at brightsboutique.etsy.com. LSRTV, Central Welding Supply, Tom Denschel Auto Group. Again, you can check out if you're looking for a new vehicle, tomdenschelautogroup.com, or even used vehicle. Really doesn't matter. They've got the process down. So if you're not in Washington State or Oregon, you can still order a car from them. So you can use your other dealerships to take a look at the cars before you order one from Tom Denschel Auto Group. So other than that, thank you guys at LSRTV and look forward to the championship race.
A great battle down to the wire. When it's all said and done, it will be Sean Brightsman winning here tonight at Homestead, Miami, to punch his ticket to the Championship 4 at Vegas. And that has been the finish line post-race wrap-up. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back from a word at Tom Denschel Auto Group, Samuel and I will wrap up and set the stage. From the East Coast to the West Coast, virtually we go to Vegas for the Championship 4. That happens next week.
An automobile purchase shouldn't be hard. The hardest part for the consumer in the whole process should be selecting the vehicle. We have the online credit application. We can bring the car to you to see it, to test drive it, to deliver it. We have all the tools in place, and we've had them in place for a long time. I just think now we've perfected it. It's become part of our culture. We've, kind of taken it to the next level. It is easy, and it should be easy, and it should be fun, and it shouldn't take a whole lot of time.
All right, we're settled in here now. We know it's Lake Peterson. We know it's now going to be Sean Brightsman, Dan West Jr., and Christopher White to battle for the Championship 4. Everybody that we've spoke with is excited about this, Samuel. Your take, what we're going to see next week at Vegas, should be a great battle, a great racetrack to decide who will be the champion.
Yeah, I'm excited for next week. We got a preview of what Las Vegas is going to bring to us back at week 7 of the regular season, where actually it was Dan West Jr. finding victory lane that race. So the 55, he's in our final 4, and I think that's really what we're going to be seeing here next week, Wesley, is of our final 4, it might have to take a win to win both the race and win the championship.
And it's kind of like what we saw in NASCAR yesterday at Phoenix in the Cup Series. The Larson winning, obviously 11 wins, count the All-Star race, 10 points wins, being the champion. And I love the fact that you've got guys like Lake Peterson, who's pretty much dominated Samuel this season in the Cup Series. You got the defending champion, just like last year in Cup, between Chase Elliott, Kyle Larson. So there you go with that. Then you got these other guys that are teammates or underdogs in Sean Brightsman, along with Dan West Jr. and Christopher White, the guy that's just, man, I'm here. And I find it fitting in closing, Samuel, that Christopher White and Dan West Jr. were tied going into this race. I'm glad they got the nod to run for the championship. And I feel my heart goes out for guys like Kevin Smith, Stephen O'Hare, and, of course, Caden Anderson. They did any and everything they could. They had their own chapters they had to write here, and they just come up short at Homestead.
Yeah, and also you can add, BJ Tidrick to that list as well. He did his best out there. I think he was the biggest underdog coming into this round and came up shy. But hey, for that, BJ Tidrick came up 6th of all the drivers in that round. So hey, good for himself. But Wesley, I want to put this notepad, my phone, which is my calculator, my pen away, but we can't because we got this Wednesday Truck Series racing. I got to be back to writing notes and figuring out the math as well for that night as well for sure.
Yeah, it should be a fun one. We're not going anywhere here. At least we're at the right racetrack. Our airline tickets came in virtually, and we are no longer stuck 2 weeks at Chicagoland. We are in the right press box behind us here at the Homestead Miami Speedway. One more quick look at Homestead Miami Speedway. Precision banking, awesome cup race under the lights. And this is where we'll be on Wednesday night for the Truck Series as well. What a great show. Congratulations, Sean Brightsman, the winner. And again, Sean Brightsman, Dan West Jr., Lake Peterson, Christopher White will battle in round 32 of the season. It all comes down to next week, next Monday, the championship at Vegas. But again, as Samuel said, we've got the trucks right here at Homestead on Wednesday as well. For everybody at Rocket Media and LSRTV, follow them at LSRTV on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And, of course, our audio coverage at CRN Sports on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. For Samuel Dyer, I'm Wesley Outland. Congratulations to Sean Brightsman, winner tonight at Homestead, Miami, and the Final Four set in Viva Virtual Vegas. We'll see you. We'll hear from you next Monday night. Be good to one another. Thanks for watching and listening.